Hey everyone. Today we've got a really easy project, at least I'm hoping it's easy. It's a 1950s or 60s Thor, which is a brand I've never worked on before, copper line drill. I actually got this at an antique store for $12. So let's take a look and let's get busy. I got Muggsy here. All right, so this is it. It's a Thor copper line. I believe this was Thor bought a company. I think they made silver line and copper line, and I think this was just rolled into the Thor line. But it is a model 6575S. Chuck seems to have been replaced. I got it at our Old Stuff Antiques in Holly Hill, Florida for $12. Came with the Chuck key. It looks like the cord needs to be changed. It also looks like it was painted this copper color, the entire thing. They didn't paint in here a different color or anything. Most of the paint's gone. So it's seen some use. It needs a new cord, clearly. So yeah, I don't think this is gonna be difficult. I've got Muggsy here. I've got screwdrivers, a replacement power cord, some gear lube, and electronic cleaner and dry lube to help clean out the motor. So hey, looks like a pretty easy job. Let's get busy. Right, Muggs? First thing we're going to do, we're going to take this cover off because this looks like a pretty easy way to replace the power cord. It's an interesting switch. I'm not familiar with this style with that switch, so it'll be interesting to see how it's all wired in. Let me get a tray for the screws. Not very long. Okay, well, this electrical tape is a sign that a lot of things have been changed in this. This is clearly not the original cord. Maybe it is the original cord. Well, I guess they just soldered it on. All right, let's take this. So here's where the ground connects. That's a pretty good design right there. Very easy to figure out. Oof. Wire is crumbling here, but it looks like they soldered to the switch and rewired to that. Interesting. Wow, this stuff. This isn't electrical tape, actually. It's, I guess it's shrink tubing. I guess. I don't know what that is. It's old. Maybe this is the original cord. The strain relief can't be saved, so I'll need to replace that. But there is room in here. It doesn't look like it's that difficult to do this. Now, what is this wire, or is that just a piece? That's just a piece. I know, Muggsy, but I'm getting dirty. That's what I like to see. Maintenance friendly. The switch just comes out one screw. So we can solder directly right to the switch. Real easy. Let me see if I can find a strain relief. Alright, I've got two sizes of strain relief. That one's a bit small. That's the right size. Okay. So I've got a strain relief. Let's I don't think I'll save. This cord's not bad, but as usual, you know, right around, that's why the strain relief's there. All right, so let's look at this. So we're good, we're good. This will make it easy. I can just attach the hot wire. So I need one of these for the hot wire. As well as for the ground. I'll be right back. So I'm going to strip some of this insulation off. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to very lightly turn this. I want it to cut through the outer shielding, but not the wires. So you just got to keep an eye on it real close. when you get close, you can usually snap it. Good. No? Okay. So we need to be able to reach the switch. And that grounds there. White, we don't need much. This should be good. I'm putting this shielding on here because I did cut the insulation just a little bit, and because this is a metal body drill, you know, you can see, you can't see, I didn't go all the way through, but I did nick it. And generally I'm more careful than that. So I'm just gonna go down that. Let me grab a heat gun real quick and hit that. When dealing with these metal bodied tools, you can never be too careful. And this is only takes a couple minutes to be a little bit safer. All right, so we need a couple of crimps. Okay, so we're gonna go with these reds. And if this is red, use the red on your tool. And we need another crimp for our ground. Make sure it's big enough for these. Yep. I'm just putting this back in here to kind of hold the cable in place. I'm not going to tighten it down yet, but it'll make it a little easier. All right. perhaps I was premature with this because I do need more cable to get that hot wire on the switch. It's getting serious now. I gotta get real close and see this because it's making me struggle. And it shouldn't be. Well, that was a little bit more effort than I would have expected. While we've got it out, I might want to clean that up a little bit. I'll be right back. Just using some steel wool. All right, now we've got this. This is the old fabric wire, so we'll be putting some shrink tubing on this. Okay, now we're better able to figure this wiring out. Can't really see what I'm doing here. All right. All right, all that's left is our white wire, and we can cut this one back a bit. Okay, we're going to solder this together and put shrink tubing over it. I think I'm going to actually cut this down a bit. I mean, it's good that I've got room, but I don't know that I need that much room. So let's cut this guy down and strip it again. All right, let me get my soldering iron. All right, I got a little bit of solder paste, some solder, and my soldering iron. How many videos do you watch me struggle with this old solder paste canister? It's probably why it survived 80 years intact, because it doesn't want to give up the solder paste. Oops, made a mistake. Unwrap that. Got to put my piece of shrink tubing on there. Boy, this video is a rare treat. You get to see me do this twice. Looks like we are good to go. My strain relief is a little bit thick for this. Let me clean up the 2 screws we're going to need first. So I'm just going to take them over to the wire brush and quickly brush them. When wire brushing screws, goggles, and gloves.
Hey everyone, just a brief interruption here. If you're enjoying this content and you'd like to support my channel, and especially if you like cats, I've written a series of chapter books for ages 8 and up, fully illustrated, called Flea Biscuit and Friends. The first book in the series is Flea Biscuit Finds a Home, followed by Flea Biscuit Summer Vacation, and finally, Flea Biscuit's Magic Christmas. They're available at all local booksellers as well as on Amazon.com. I will post a link in the video description. And hey, that's my pitch. Back to the video.
All right, we are good to go electrically. Let's test it. Won't hurt anything to just kick it over for a second. Just to make sure everything's good. So what I do here is I'm going to use a power strip with a switch on it. And I'm going to go into the power. And the first thing I do, when I plug it in with the power off here, that's on, see it lights, that's off. So the first thing I do is I always, especially with these steel bodied tools, I always will first apply power using the power strip. just in case, you know, something goes wrong. Make sure it's all good. Because, you know, when you tighten these handles, you do compress the wires quite a bit. So let's see. We'll have to switch on. So it worked. All right, so it's interesting. This isn't a trigger, and that did take me by surprise. Boy, it smells like an old motor. So you've got this old-fashioned You can smell that old electrical motor smell. All right, so we're good. We're wired, we're ready to go. Let's check the brushes. Although, you know, it fired up real well. That's not what I wanted to see. My brush cap broke. Boy, this has been jammed in there. Look at this, it's all bent. So somebody did some work with these brushes and this is a kit. This brush does not want to come out. There we go. All right, so let's look. And as usual with these, you know, people always like, oh, you gotta check the brushes, but as usual with these, this brush is in good condition, no problems. This spring is going to give me a lot of grief because somebody twisted it and it's not going to want to go in there. Okay, so because this brush was really in great shape, I'm not going to try to take the other one out. I just got to inspect this because the brush cap did come apart, the plastic. So I'm going to have to do something about that. Let me save all the pieces. But, okay, minor problem, but let's check the front. And let's just look at the gearbox. Boy, these screws haven't been taken out in a long time. Looks like all three of these screws are the same. Okay, so when we pull it apart, I want to make sure I don't pull the whole motor apart. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to hold that in place. Okay, let's see. That's a good question. Well, it looks like this opens up somehow. This is definitely two pieces. I don't see any other screws. All right, so I'll do a close-up here. Here's where we're at. Hopefully you can see that. I can't see the camera. Let me take the camera down. So this is where the grease would go. You can see this appears to be two pieces, but there are no screws that I can see holding it in. It could be that the chuck needs to be removed to open it up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna clean it up, and I'm gonna just put new grease in there rather than struggle with this to try to take it apart. So I'll be right back. I'm just gonna clean that up. All right, it's cleaned up, and I'm just going to put super lube in the gearbox. All right, that's a lot. All right, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a bin cover to catch this. I'm going to clean out the motor. This is not regular WD-40, as I always say. This is dry lube. Dry lube is great for cleaning and lubricating motors without damaging them. If you use regular WD-40 in a motor, you're going to have trouble. So what this will do is any gunk built up in the motor, it'll wash it out. And you'll be able to see how dirty the motor is by how much gunk actually comes out of it. But at the same time, it's a little dirty coming out, not bad. All right, that's some junk. All right, it dries pretty quick. Oh, that went together easy. Wow. All right, I'm going to quickly wire brush these 3 screws. I'll be right back. So when putting these screws back in, we're going to do one at a time, and we're not going to tighten them. We're just going to snug them and then tighten them a little bit more. No, it doesn't seem to want to go in, so we'll back it out and try again. All right, so they're all snug. I'm going to give it a turn. All right, and tight, tight, tight. All right, we are wired, greased, motors cleaned out. And in theory, we're in the cosmetic phase, although I don't really know what to do cosmetic-wise with this thing. But let's test it one more time. It's off, because we did jostle it around. The dry lube should be dry, so we should be able to just test it one more time. We're on, and on. Boy, that sounds nice. Sounds like an old-fashioned vacuum cleaner, actually. So here's the dilemma with this. This thing was originally painted. Completely painted, actually. Even this was painted copper. And I don't know if that's what I want to do with it. All right, I think I've made a decision, and I think I'm going to paint it. Because that's the way it used to be, and because I do have copper paint. I may eventually back these screws out again and clean them up, but we'll see how it looks painted. So I've got to mask some things up, but first, let's clean up the chuck. And to do that, we're going to use the wire brush. So how I do this, normally, gloves and goggles, we're going to be using the wire brush. So how I do it normally is I will run the drill while the wire brush cleans the chuck. This does a couple things. One, it lets the grease work its way through the gears, the grease that I just put in, but mostly it just makes it easier to get all over the chuck. All right. Just to give you a bit of a before and after. Did you notice the drill pick up speed while I was doing that? That's when the grease and everything get worked in, and the drill, which hasn't run probably in many years, suddenly starts working again. All right, so the chuck's clean. Let's see what it says on the chuck. It is a Jacobs chuck. Multi-craft, Jacobs chuck, made in USA. Cleaned up real nice. All right, so we just have to mask everything up and figure out a way that we're gonna paint this. I'll be back. All right, we're gonna wipe it down with acetone. Before we try to paint it. And get hopefully many years of grease and oil off this thing. All right, let's finish masking this thing up and then we'll move on to paint. Okay, everything but the switch is masked up. I realized I kind of made one mistake. I didn't think about how I was going to hold this, so I've got an idea. Make sure we're off here. We're off. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this board to hold it. That way I'll be able to paint it. All right. Retape my bag. Let's tape up this switch right here, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm gonna use my paint booth. It's actually beautiful painting weather outside, but we're still gonna paint it inside. All right. I haven't mounted a light in there yet. I really need to do that. So I've got two types of copper paint. This is very, very bright, but doesn't quite stick as well as that. So what I think I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna paint it with the hammered copper because it's really tough. And then I'm gonna see what it looks like. And if I wanna add a little bit of bling to it, I'll put some of that on there. So hammered paint does not require primer. It does require about 7 days to fully dry, and you gotta shake it a lot. Now, let's see. All right, well, you know, this is real close. Let me get a close up here. This is real close to the original copper. It's interesting. So here's the Rust-Oleum, and there's theirs. I mean, it's very close, except for, of course, there's a bit of a textured finish to the Rust-Oleum. Okay, I filled the vents with the cardboard. Hopefully it sticks. It's a quick fix because I forgot to do it. Let's go back to where we were started, which was right here. you want a heavy hammered finish with this stuff, you put it on thick. I don't on this project. So I'm not putting it on very heavy. I'm just going to use several light coats. It looks good. I mean, nothing really makes it pop because, you know, the logo, but the logo was copper. I mean, this is the way it was. So I think one thing I can do is the screws, shine them up. The switch we'll see, the cord obviously, the chuck will be different. That'll offset it a little bit. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it comes out. That right there is not a run, that's a rough spot on the metal itself. It's also not the hammered finish coming through. It is thick. I mean, it's very hard to read that now. There was text there. So good luck to whoever tried to read it. I'm glad I took a close-up picture. But this color's pretty close. I'll be back. Okay, here it is all painted. It looks great, it really does. I'm gonna let it sit for a few more days before I try to do something with the lettering. Because hammered paint does take a long time. But I really would like to do something with the lettering. I mean, this apparently is how they came. But, boy, it'd be nice to fill that in. So here's the chuck key that it came with. And you can see it's not really ideal. So I do have one. It came out of a toolbox haul. It's the right type. And so what I'm gonna do is, it's got a little bit of rust on it, so I'm just gonna use some navel jelly on it. And that'll get it ready. If I had a vat of Evaporust, I'd just drop it in that, but I don't have that right now. And for little things like this stuff is great. All right, this is a pretty handy little kit. You get thinner if you're using an airbrush. I'm gonna go with black. I don't think any other colors would look better. You get little cups to mix it in. So first thing I'm gonna try, I'm gonna put together one of these hypodermic needle things. I'm gonna just do a test right here. And I'm gonna see two things. How flowable this paint is. These are not sharp. So yeah, you wouldn't wanna try to use them for anything illegal. It would be a pretty painful experience to shoot yourself with one of those. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take some paint in here without thinning it. Yeah, that's pretty thick. And I'm just gonna see two things. I'm gonna see one, how well it flows. And it doesn't flow. See how tall it's sitting? It's not flowing at all. Okay. Okay, so that won't do. But the other thing I want to test is I want to see how well it'll just wipe off. Okay, so that's going to be important. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take some of this airbrush thinner. Make sure you can even see what I'm doing here. And yeah, I'm going to take some of this airbrush thinner. I'm going to pull this in to the needle as well. Kind of mix it up a bit in there. And let's see how this flows now. Okay, so it's a little bit better. So it's interesting. It still needs more. But what it does now is it runs out. So what I need it to do is I need it to run around that, because I'm not painting with a brush or anything. I need this. Let's get some more black paint in here because I'm going to need more. All right, let's see how this works. Very hard to see these lines. Works. It takes some patience. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry and then we'll be back. Might take another hypodermic to do the other side. I don't know how well. This one's gonna hold up for round 2. I'll be back. It's starting to get a little thicker on me. Well, that didn't come out that bad. Let's let it dry and see what happens. Flip the camera so you're not reading it upside down, but yeah. May require just a little bit of cleanup, but we've got it. I didn't need the paint stick. I did it all with the hypodermic needle. Oh, we got Mr. T running around. All right, I'm gonna let that dry. I think it takes about an hour or so, and then I'm gonna do a little cleanup. I may need to touch up just a little bit with the hammered copper and a paintbrush, but I'm gonna wait and see how it looks. We'll be back. All right, final touch up here on the workbench. I'm just gonna touch up like that and a little bit on the other side, but overall it came out really nice. And I decided I'm gonna actually, I should have been doing this all along on this bench that I made because it's a lot brighter. But first things first, I need to get my copper paint that I used, and I need to get a little bit of that to use as touch up. And so to do that, I'm just gonna spray it into the cap. So let me do that and I'll be right back. All right, I've got a little bit of paint in the cap. So there's only two areas I see. Well, there's a little tiny area there. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna test this. Okay. I need to go right here. Look at how nice that looks. That was a lot easier than I thought. And I need to go right here. I do not have the steadiest of hands for this type of stuff. I'm gonna try a little tab right there. All right, it's the next day and that looks good. I like it. So the last thing I had to do was make a custom brush cap for this one that crumbled. And I've done that. I've got it right here. All I need to do is put it on, and then we'll take some pictures and we'll wrap this one up. Oh, the other thing is my correct chuck key. I'll be putting that with it as well. So let me take care of that and we'll be right back. All right, we're all together. I did get the brush cap on. Custom made. Looks good, fits really well, about as good as I could hope for, and does the job. And yeah, so here's our $12.78 tax antique store drill. Ready for work, but I don't know if it will ever go back to work. All right, this was a great project for multiple reasons. I got a great drill out of it, something I'd never worked on a Thor drill before. If anyone knows what the difference between a copper line and a silver line from Thor is, let me know. I believe silver line was a brand that Thor purchased and incorporated into their lineup. But I'm really not sure on that, and there's not much information out there. So if anyone knows, please leave it in the comments. I'd appreciate the data. But so one of the reasons why I really thought this was a great project was one, this drill did not fight me at all. It just seemed like it really just wanted to get cleaned up, rewired, and get back to work. And two, I learned a new skill. I learned that you can actually paint these indented logos with a hypodermic needle. And I had never done that before, and I thought, oh, this is going to require really steady hands, and I don't have really steady hands for that sort of work, which is why I wouldn't try it with a paintbrush. But it turns out it's not that hard, and it came out great. I was a little sloppy, but with hammered paint, it's really easy to touch it up. You can just tap it with a brush, and no one will ever know that it wasn't part of the spray finish. So hey, if you enjoyed this content, or you've enjoyed some of my other content, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps me, it helps this channel grow, and we've hit 2 years. We've hit our 2-year anniversary. I don't know, we're 160 videos in, which is quite a bit for 2 years. But I'm having a great time. I hope you're having a great time seeing them as well. And hey, if you find a drill like this at an antique store, flea market, yard sale, whatever, or if you have one laying around, it's not that hard to restore these and get them back to work. I've just shown you one example. Look back in the history of my channel, you'll see several others. I've got more examples coming. You can do it. All you have to do is go out, get busy. Take care.